I'm Alden Diaz with Ahch-To Radio.
And I am Tori Fox with the Mandatorian Creed on Ahch-To Radio.
And Kanako and James, we did want to get started. There is something that I have to address that we set up. And Tori currently has a box in front of her.
Okay, I was wondering what that was. I don't know what's happening.
And Kanako knows, James knows, and I know. So if you would like to open your box to start this off, festivities.
Okay.
Is there
I'm just
involved in this?
Roll.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday.
They're so beautiful. I don't know if anyone knows what they look like.
Yes, it's a Star Wars Vision's birthday.
I'm really gonna cry. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe this. Thank you so much. Oh my god, thank you. They're beautiful. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah, and so for people that are watching, listening, they've got the little Star Wars Visions poster on the frosting, which is
gorgeous. Oh,
super cool.
Sorry. Actually, they held up during that. They're very well made.
Good.
They're beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
So yeah, we wanted to include everybody in on that as we got started. So James, Kanako, thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
Really excited to talk to you about this wonderful show, and Tori and I have been so jazzed about it since seeing the episodes. We want to hear both of your thoughts on a lot of these questions. So if James, you want to start on this one, and then we'll pass over to Kanako. I'm really curious, just so at the onset of Visions, what George and all these creators, Dave Filoni and all the creators that are working on Obi-Wan, like Deborah Chow, everybody has taken so much from Japanese cinema and from the traditions of like Kurosawa. And I'm curious what it means for the Visions team and for Lucasfilm to give the traditions back and say, okay, we gathered so much, now let's see what you would do with the stuff that is sort of originally yours.
Yeah, it's really astute to identify that, because that's in many ways right. I mean, it's so much of Star Wars is influenced by Kurosawa and the Jedi films. And just Japanese culture in general, and you see that in the DNA. The Mandalorian feels very lone wolf and cub at some level. You see like the influence of these ideas. But the other thing that I think is important to say is that we've also been influenced by anime. So it's not, it's not just that it's samurai dramas, but also it's this new form. It's this new animated form that has been, growing and growing over several decades. And you see it in a lot of our work, I think. And I think like anybody who loves good storytelling and good cinematic technique has become fans of the medium. And so, beyond just that, we've been fans of anime and watching it grow. And I think we've been hoping for a way to like figure out how to put Star Wars and anime together, and like what is the to that it really lets these creators do what they do best. But to your point, it was awesome, because the thing is that it's this east-west cycle that I find so interesting, and storytellers inspiring other storytellers. And so every time we'd sit down with one of these studios, they all had a story about how Star Wars inspired them, and how it depends on the age of the director, but there were directors that said they were sitting in the theater for episode 4 in 1977, and blew their mind, and they suddenly realized, I want to do that. I want to create worlds. And then there were directors who were younger and said they were in 1999, they saw Phantom Menace in the theater, and they realized, I want to do that. And so it was really cool to hear that. And it was really cool to see how Star Wars had already come back and had already and so we're sort of in the second cycle of that in many ways. But what's interesting about this kind of time is you're seeing the influence of Kurosawa on George. You're seeing the influence on George on anime, and then you're seeing the kind of anime's influence on us, and then going back. So it's a real celebration of cinema and animation.
And then for Kanako, what about you on the receiving end of that phenomenon?
Yeah, it's like James said, like all of the creators are huge Star Wars fans and hugely influenced by George Lucas and Star Wars storytelling. So for them, it's like a giving back to their love to the Star Wars and Star Wars universe. And yeah, as you can see from the duel, you see like they pay homage to the Darth Maul, their fight with Qui-Gon Jinn when the Sith is like right in front of the waterfall, and from the Ninth Jedi, the speeder bike chase scene is hugely inspired from Episode 6. So it's a love letter from Japanese creator to this George Lucas and Star Wars. So it's like a great yes, full circle, and it's wonderful to see everyone so excited about this.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I'm gonna throw it to Tori.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you brought up the kind of subtle references, because I think that was one of the coolest parts for me watching it, was kind of picking up hints in the music, hints in design, hints in just kind of situational things. It was so neat. So I want to ask, I'm going to start with Kanako, and then we'll move over to James. Star Wars is so often about lessons and morals, and there's a lot of really interesting pieces here that I think that we've never really had in Star Wars. So what is something that you hope longtime fans and even new fans would like to take from Visions?
Sure, yeah. From the story-wise, these are their original idea from Japanese creators and directors, script writers. So I think they are influenced by Star Wars storytelling, but also they grew up in the Japanese anime storytelling as well. So I hope the fans of Star Wars might find that very fresh and new concept, and I hope that would open up a new perspective or to the Japanese animes, and they can explore more the past work from each studios, and there's a lot to explore, and you have to, it's basically like so much to catch up. But yeah, there's like a wonderful new world open up. Yeah, so I hope for fans, Star Wars fan hasn't have experience for the Japanese anime, I hope they just enjoy the art form.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm already seeing so many people starting in preparation for Visions to really get into anime and all that. So it's very cool. James?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there is that kind of fable like storytelling, that mythic storytelling woven into Star Wars. And I think a big part of that is that it always comes from a human perspective. One of the things we always say when we're breaking stories is let's strip all the Star Wars out of it. What is a story that is relatable and you could tell without the trappings of the sci-fi, right? And then once you have that, then there's something really there that expresses a human theme. So I think that what's cool about this though is that the creators kind of found that instinctively. If you look at the stories, things like take The Elder, for example, a master-student story about generations and different generational perspectives could not be more Star Wars than that. But done through this unique anime lens. Take Tatooine Rhapsody. That's a story about found family, which is Rebels, right? And humor story. So you keep finding these sort of like cycles. Even The Duel is a story about a sort of kind of potentially former bad dude that rises to his like higher calling and protects a village. And that's also a fundamentally Star Wars story of choosing to be your better self. Those are the mythic qualities that I think are perennial to Star Wars. I think what's unique about this is the way those stories are being told. That's specifically Japanese, and that's what's specifically the medium of anime. And that's what's fun here is these are authentic Star Wars stories, but I don't think you've ever seen them this way before.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, there's so many visual moments. My favorite was Village Bride, and I know that we've talked about Tatooine Rhapsody and things like that, where you're watching it and a moment happens or a visual, and you're like, this could only happen here. If you grew up watching any anime that hit it big in the States, growing up a Dragon Ball Z kid or something like that, anything huge, you immediately are like, wow, that's iconic. And with that is, of course, the music and the myth and all that. And we're in this weird Star Wars time now, good weird, where suddenly the music of John Williams is the bedrock, but there's new people coming in, and Kevin Kiner sort of led that charge, and Ludwig Göransson. And so I'm curious, how did the musical themes and blends come together for Visions? Whoever would like to start on that one, and James, if you want to start, because there's cues, there's references, but it's so unique.
Yeah, I mean, I can get like a high level. Kanako, you really were in the sort of the trenches of dealing with the music and the scoring and Sky Sound. I was there working, from the inception and the story, and working with the talent that way. But the way we approached this was more from the creator's perspective, is what's the music that's going to really enrich their storytelling and resonate with their storytelling. So I think different creators chose different paths. Some chose to like lean more into the traditional John Williams, which is, the interesting thing is it's so fundamental to Star Wars, even with so fresh and new, but it's new and we're still adapting to it. It's super cool and super feels right, but it has a foundation in Star Wars. And so I think that's what we're seeing here too. But like The Village Bride, totally different style that really leaned into like kind of the Japanese instruments, etc. So it really depended on what was helping the creators get their story across.
Yeah, like the Elder, the Duel, and Village Bride is like the composer picked the orchestration, like John Williams music, but at the same time they added like a Japanese traditional instrument to add a Japanese aspect or a cultural side to it. Ninth Jedi is just it's a huge homage to John Williams music. Like Science Hour's two story, Akakiri and Toby one, has a very unique take because they explore very distinctive style. Like Akakiri's features Indian drum tabla, and Toby one's like heavily electronic music. So and Tattooing Rhapsody is a rock. So yeah, everyone has different interpretation to bring the best out of their how to bring the story into more Star Wars. So I hope people enjoy the music as well and it's a music itself, just listening to it is also very interesting too.
So I think that with all that, Tori's going to wrap us up on a fun one here.
Yep. I wanted to ask, so Kathleen Kennedy and then Doug Chang as well. I'm big fans of them. But they've discussed a lot about how important silhouettes can be in a character's design. And there's a lot of really fun silhouettes in Visions. So I wanted to know what previous Star Wars design came at play for you? Was there any specific eras in Star Wars design that were really impactful for you in making this?
That's really interesting. I mean, the design perspective, first, it's worth, since you brought up Kathy, I think it's worth just saying that like a big reason this project has happened is actually like Kathy's passion for anime and the animation work that's coming out of Japan. I don't know, I think it's pretty broadly known, but Kathy was instrumental in bringing Miyazaki's work to the West. And she was one of the people for that from the start, said, okay, all of you keep talking about how much you love anime. Why aren't we doing something? Go meet, kudos to her. So anyways, just an aside, but to Doug and the design elements, I love the duel. I can't help it. It's just so cool to see that kind of fusion of feudal Japan meets Star Wars. And I think the reason it worked so well is Okazaki-san's attention to detail in his designs. You talk about silhouettes, when you talk about just like composition and style, he brings so many elements from across the saga into those designs. Like there's a Doug in a sort of in a probe drawer. Like it is something that you have to be a fan to really have the imagination to use those elements and make magic with them. So I don't know. I would kind of vector towards that as being something that's just deeply inspirational and deeply specific to Visions.
Yeah, so like a duel, like Okazaki-san is like such a huge Star Wars fan, so he just combine his love into this character design. And I'm sure some studios like choose to like explore their own style as well. But you know, the Star Wars characters like has kind of like no like similar to like kind of Asian wardrobe, like a kimono style. So the Jedi's like costume is similar to that. So I think originally it was influenced from Japanese culture or Asian culture. So there's not that much like a huge diverged from there, but it's just like everyone wants to know that. So like it's trying to explore what's their distinctive style, like how to make like a Lop is pretty like unique, like her outfit is like kind of inspired from like a slightly ninja-ish. So that's like some
cool.
interesting take.
Yeah,
Awesome.
well, thank you guys so
Thank you
much
so much.
for the time. We really
Yes.
appreciate it. Kanako, James, cheers to a great season, and hopefully we see you again for another one at some point.
Thank you.
Thank you.